from a Confederation perspective, the story that I kept hearing was that how much, my background is I grew up in St. John's, but both sides of my family are from Outport, Newfoundland. My dad's side of the family is from out, Conception Bay North, Carbonear area, but mom's family's from the Southern Shore. And the recurring theme that I kept hearing throughout was how much better things got after Confederation. Because, people don't think about it often nowadays, especially my generation. But it's really not that far in the past, right? 75 years seems like a lot, but that's 2 generations. So, when my grandparents were all alive, they had vivid memories of Confederation actually happening, which is kind of crazy. So Great Uncle Bren was my grandfather's brother. So there was a lot of them in that family. There was a Dalton family in Cape Royal. And Great Uncle Bren, he was quite a character. He passed away, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago. I think it was 2018. But he was very enthused with politics. And he had a lot of opinions on certain things. And I remember even up to the week he died, every time Bren was around, you'd hear a story or about something that happened. And there's a lot of recurring stories about Confederation, but also his opinions on the character of the day. You think, the Cashin family was also from Cape Royal, so you had some insider knowledge on them. He had opinions on the Crosbys and the Smallwoods and, the fishery and stuff like that. One story that stuck with me about Bren was he told me about just what changed in Newfoundland when we joined Confederation, and the fact that it just seemed like we jumped ahead so far as soon as that happened. And not even just from like an infrastructure perspective, but just from a mindset perspective as well. So him and my grandfather, they were both born in the 30s. They saw the tail end of the Depression. They remember the war and stuff like that, at least from what I've been told. And, when they were probably my age, we were just after joining Canada, and the two of them, from a family of fishermen going back for as long as time immemorial, 2 of them got a chance to go up and work in Goose Bay, which is an opportunity that probably wouldn't have been afforded to them if they had not joined Confederation, right? So Bren grew up and he told lots of stories about, lots of little tidbits about Newfoundland's history and Confederation especially. He was a big fan of Confederation, and he was quite a fan of, him and my grandfather were fans of Joey Smallwood. They were the only people up the shore who thought the sun shone out of Joey's ass. So it was quite a, I remember telling lots of stories about, Joey this, Joey that, Confederation this, Confederation that. I think Newfoundland's made leaps and bounds, but I think we've, from my perspective, it seems like we've lost the bad parts of being on our own, but kept the good parts in the sense that we've managed to maintain our sense of identity. However, Confederation has allowed us to come into our own, right? I think, because of the work done over the past 75 years and of the generations that come before us, my generation, especially me, as an engineering student, and, we have people to look up to that are our own kind, of our own people, the Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. And that I think that the past generations did not have that opportunity because there was no success stories, right? Not no success stories, but they were rare. Success stories happened when people moved away to the mainland and did something up abroad. Now, in the past 75 years, but especially in the past 20 years, I'd argue, you're starting to see Newfoundlanders and Labradorians achieving stuff right here at home. You think of the tech companies, you think of, all these achievements that are happening. And I don't think those opportunities would have come about if we didn't join Confederation. If the groundwork, if the foundation for a functioning society wasn't laid by Confederation. I grew up hearing stories from my parents and also from people of my parents' generation and grandparents that, if you went up on the mainland, you were the butt of Newfie jokes. They thought you were backwards. You thought you were, way in the past. And I think, considering we joined Confederation, we got in there, and the state of the place at the time, it was wrong to judge Newfoundlanders based on that. But, I think we've managed to beat that stigma because my generation and the generation previous has just proven that this country is just as much, a part of us as we are a part of it. I'd think that Confederation is the best thing to happen to Newfoundland and Labrador, but I think it's also the best thing to happen to Canada, because I think it's been a mutually beneficial relationship. We've done a lot in the Confederation since we've joined. If you think of, if you think of something so minor as, not minor, but it's just an example of, Gander, example. You get that story out to the world, or the offshore oil and gas industry, or the upcoming hydrogen industry. or our contributions to the constitutional base, the Meech Lake Accords, or all these other things that we've been able to give back to Canada, is the work's just starting, right? That's the number one thing, is that our story is only 75 years old. We've got hundreds of years of history ahead of us as a part of this confederation, and I'm proud to be a Canadian, proud to be a Newfoundlander and Labradorian, but especially proud to be a Canadian. I also believe that, when you come from a place, Rick Mercer had a good skit on it back in the 90s that I saw on YouTube, but you see, when you wake up in a place that's getting, you wake up to blizzard warnings, sealing disasters, fishing disasters, and all this bad news, you got to learn to laugh, and you got to learn to hang on. It makes a certain type of people that, we're hard as the granite on which we stand. And I think that that's going to continue no matter if we're part of Canada or separate. It's just the nature of growing up in this place. We're whipped sideways by winds. We're pelted by storms. The economy's in the tank half the time. Knock wood. But yeah, that's part of the identity, I think. I think the other thing is that I think we have a lot of attributes that we should hold on to and be proud of, especially nowadays. Something as decent, as small and decent as just holding the door for someone else, or a warm smile, a genuine thing. I lived away for 4 months down in the States, and it's all those little things that you really miss about Newfoundland and Labrador, and they are unique to this place. And I think that we will hold on to them so long as people still practice them on the daily. And I think they do. And I think that's what makes this place great. The big projects, the economy, all this stuff is very important. It's vital. It's woven in the fabric of our society. But at the end of the day, our people are still going to be the same. I think that's going to continue. Confederation didn't change that. It's going to continue on as long as we know. I think we've spent a lot of time looking down on ourselves. I think we're oftentimes our own worst enemy. But I also think that that's starting to change. We're starting to look up now. We're not looking in the rearview mirror. We're not, cowering. I don't think cowering is the right word, but we're not scared of ourselves anymore. That's my feeling of being a Newfoundland and Labrador. I don't feel hindered by where I come from, or where I grew up, or where I'm living. I feel like it's given me the tools, the perspective, the wherewithal to be able to go and do the things that I want to do. And I think it's just a matter of, where you stand depends on where you sit. I think that Confederation onwards, we've actually got to a position now where we can start to look up. Might have taken a while. Maybe, there'll be bumps along the way, but we're in the right place we need to be. And we're going to be in a lot brighter place in the years to come. I think joining Canada has given us a place within a bigger thing where we are equally important to all the other places. No matter how big the economy, no matter what's going on, no matter which way you cut that cake, I think Canada is the best thing to happen to Newfoundland and Labrador, but also Newfoundland and Labrador is the best thing to happen to Canada.